Continuing with our methods for creating the illusion of motion in two-dimensional art, we've got blurred outlines. And actually, we also have the inverse. So, blurred outlines, if something has blurred outlines, our eye can't keep up with the speed with which it's moving, and therefore we understand that it is in motion. However, because of photography, we can actually also have the opposite. Think of a photograph taken at a really high exposure setting where, say, the NASCAR car is in real crisp, precise detail, and yet the crowd of rednecks in the stands is all out of focus and blurry. That still is going to be something that we've seen enough times that we understand in this case the blurry things are actually standing still and the car is moving really fast. So we understand how to interpret blurred outlines as a convention for depicting motion. We can also have what's called a sequential or sometimes called a multiple image, and that's what we're seeing with this Muybridge photograph, where I'm seeing every aspect of how a motion takes place. So it is all the little stops along the way. Think of this in terms of comic books. For instance, when we see Batman hitting the Joker, sometimes we're going to see his arm in 3 or 4 positions before it contacts the Clown Prince of Crime. And so we're going to understand that he doesn't have 3 or 4 arms. It's the same arm in multiple places, and that is showing the motion. This is different than what we're going to call a figure repeated. I'm going to zoom in on a detail of this painting by Shazia Sikander so that you can see how a figure repeated works. With a figure repeated, we have a clearly identifiable figure. It's a little ghost girl with a shawl, and yet we can see that same figure in more than one place. So I know that it's moving. I have to be able to tell that it's the same figure. So in this case, her transparency is what lets me know that it's the same ghost girl showing up in multiple places, and it's not 4 different ghost girls. That would be scary. 1 ghost girl good, 4 ghost girls scary. When I have a figure repeated, it relies on me being able to tell that it's the same figure in different places in time and in different places physically, that what we're seeing is sort of the before and after. So if we were to put this into comic book terminology, it would be Clark Kent standing on one side of the telephone booth and then Superman standing on the other side of the telephone booth. And we know that it's the same figure. He just went into the telephone booth, changed into his underwear, and came out to fight crime. As you do. A final mention reminder that we have the technology to have a 2-dimensional surface that looks like it's moving because of things like film, video, animation, those kinds of things. One thing I enjoy is using this slide of a still of a moving image to talk about moving images, but I haven't got the $10,000 to buy a Bill Viola video art installation. The other thing that's kind of fun about this is that we still have a sense of motion because we understand the anticipated motion of the fact that fire doesn't hold still and raindrops don't hover in the air. So even my example of how I can't show you video to talk about movement still has a sense of movement. Woohoo! Read through the assignment sheet. Basically, the assignment for this is to, like we have been doing with the sketchbooks, have a panel that shows me that you understand how to achieve each of these techniques. But in this case, we're going to make it a little bit more fun by having you make a comic book. There are a couple of student examples. One is attached to the assignment sheet, and then there are 2 other student examples loaded as PDFs for you to look at. Warning on one of them, I think it's the first by itself, the guy is a jerk, and you just need to know that he's a jerk and ignore the content because he actually draws really well, alas.